Cheer! It is the Tony Scott Internet Show. It's Christmas Eve night. And I had planned to do it Christmas Eve night because I wanted to talk about Christmas and memories and things like that. But no, won't be doing that. Just kind of like be talking about a little bit about what happened in Berkeley, Missouri, with the shooting of the young man, the 18-year-old, by a Berkeley police officer, and what came of that. Antonio Martin was 18 years old, and by most accounts, had spent some time in trouble. His mom said he was trying to turn his life around last night. I don't know, with his shooting death by a police officer, and then what happened afterwards, and I think that was mostly fueled by incorrect reporting on social media. Social media is a beast, and it's here to stay. And knowing that, we have to be a little bit more responsible than we've been in regards to things like this, because the word going around social media that the cop shot an unarmed young man, Antonio Martin was unarmed, and we later find out that was not the case at all. The video tells part of the story, and I think it's important that we realize that it tells part of the story. Doesn't tell the whole story. It tells a lot of it, though. And from what we've seen, it would seem like this is an open and shut thing, but, not so fast there, because there needs to be an investigation, but it also needs to be pointed out, man, you can't point a gun at a cop and not think nothing's going to happen. No, he's not going to shoot you in the leg. Okay, let's get that. Can we put that to rest once and for all? Because I talked to some people today, and they were telling me, why didn't he just shoot him in the leg? It doesn't work that way. Quit watching television thinking it's the real deal, because it's not. They're not trained to do that. Why didn't he tase him? The gun was already pointed at him. If the young man had walked towards the cop in an aggressive manner, maybe a tase. But there's a formula for that when you tase and when you pull your gun. My understanding is it's a matter of 50 feet, 50 yards. I don't know what it is exactly, but there's a formula, distance-wise, because somebody can come up on you very quickly. And this young man apparently came out with the gun, and the cop, he had to defend himself. Is it senseless violence? It is, because, what do you think? For a minute here, let's think about this for a second. What do you think was going through the mind of Antonio Martin when he decided to pull this gun on a cop? What do you think was going through his mind? That if I just show him the gun, he's going to back down? That if I show him the gun, I'm going to get respect? That if I show him the gun, I'm the man? That if I show him the gun, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think was going through his mind? Why would you do that? In this climate, in this country, and not just, let's take the Tamir Rice and the Eric Garners and all the other killings. Let's take that aside. Let's take that out of the equation. Just what's been going on here in the St. Louis area with Ferguson, Michael Brown, Von Derek Myers. There was another killing that went on, and so we have to keep in mind that the temperature is very hot here. So why would you do something like that? Why would you pull a gun if in fact that's what he did? It seems that by the video count, the video, it wasn't the greatest shot of video footage that we've seen, because it was far away, it was nighttime. Maybe, well, you know what? There again, if this officer would have had his body camera on, we would have seen almost like we were the officer, right? What happened? But he didn't put on his body camera. Why didn't he put on his body camera? The city of Berkeley doesn't have, it's not a large police department, so there's not like a lot of cameras. I think there's like 5 in the whole department. But why didn't he put the camera on? Why was the dashboard camera not functioning? Why was that not on? Was it broken? What was the deal? To me, if you want to say that if a dash cam camera is not working, then you shouldn't put the police car on the street. Well, easier said than done, because the car is needed on the street. The patrol unit is needed on the street, and the camera at this point is more of a luxury, right, than it is a necessity. Although that's quickly changing, but I just don't know what Antonio Martin could have been thinking, that pulling a gun out on a cop was not going to end in anything other than how it ended. I feel so bad for his mother. I saw her picture, and she was devastated about what happened to her son. You know, we're not supposed to bury our children. We've talked about that numerous times. But man, what do you do? And of course, afterwards, across the street, there was the Berkeley Quick Trip that was looted. Somebody tried to set it on fire. But before we even go there, let's back up a ways, because when the crowd gathered, they were angry because the word was that Antonio Martin was unarmed and was shot by a white cop. He was shot by a white cop, but apparently he was armed. But that's how the word got out. People quickly gathered there. There was some yelling and pushing and shoving, and, emotions ran high. But then some people started throwing explosive devices. Okay, what makes you think that's the best course of action to have? Because you're at a gas station and you're near gas pumps. Do you know that if you just set off one of those gas pumps, everybody on that lot would have died? Everybody would have blew up? Do you know that? It would have been that bad? That's horrible. I mean, by the grace of God, that didn't happen. But, we did have some officers that were injured. There were people arrested. Like 4 people were arrested for assaulting police officers. You can't put your hands on a cop. You can't do it. It's like professional sports. You can't touch the referee. And you can't touch the cop. If you do, what happens, happens. That's pretty much how it's always been. You put your hands on a cop, what happens, happens. Is it fair? The thing we fail to do is look at it from every angle, every perspective. I mean, from a cop's perspective, if someone is angry enough to put their hands on you, what else are they ready to do? Are they ready to go for my gun or my taser and use it on me? Hit me with a taser, put me down, and then take my gun and shoot me or shoot other people with my gun? Is that what's going to happen? I mean, all these things come into play. But to think that a cop is going to just shoot somebody in the leg is not accurate, not realistic, and it's actually pretty stupid. It just doesn't happen that way. So let's get that off the table. Now, the Quick Trip thing, across the street, down the street, I mean, whatever camera caught these young men, it's just a matter of time. The guy in the red hoodie, people trying to knock the door in, and they got knocked in. They went in there, and so all this is going on. And this is what you do. You're so angry that you got to steal alcohol from Quick Trip. I mean, the video footage of that is so clear that, like I said, it's just a matter of time. But man, I just don't get that at all. Well, you're taking alcohol from the Quick Trip, which isn't even ground zero for this incident in Berkeley. But you go to the Quick Trip. Now, Quick Trip right now, they boarded up the windows and it's closed for the time being. You know what? If I'm Quick Trip, I'm thinking I'm pulling out of the St. Louis area. I'm thinking that's on the table at the very least, And they have redone some of their stores in the St. Louis area. Some of them are like quasi restaurants now. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. Is it worth the investment if this is, going to keep happening to their stores? This is the second one. It's only 2. Hey, yeah, you try owning a chain of stores and have 2 of them go down like that. Something that you got to think about, But our community has been in pain since August, early August. And is that pain ever going to go away? I don't know. It's almost like losing a loved one. My father passed away 4 years ago, and that pain is always there. It's manageable at this point. Is that how this is going to have to be? I mean, it's really 2 different things. I mean, the pain is pain, but I mean, We're talking about a situation involving things that can change. But things need to change on both sides. You know, the police department needs to change some of their approach, and citizens have to change how they interact with the police. I mean, to go from a conversation to pulling out a gun on a cop and thinking nothing's going to happen is not exactly putting complete thought into this. And it's sad. A mother has lost her son. Folks have lost their friends, and the folks have lost a relative. I mean, it goes on, go on and on about that. But the bottom line is Antonio Martin is dead. And he was only 18 years old. Man, something's going to have to change, right? Now, I saw it on TV earlier, and they're saying that in this area, we've had 4 African-American men that have been shot and killed. And we've had 5 police officers that have been shot. You know, in this country, I think there's been 34 officers shot. But there's been a larger amount of teens that have been shot and killed. And this is something that needs to, needs to be brought to the forefront of how many people are dying, how many people are getting shot, and how could it have been avoided? I mean, I'm convinced the Michael Brown thing, that should never have happened. That just started off with how that whole interaction started between Michael Brown and Officer Darren Wilson. That just started off with, talking to somebody disrespectfully and went downhill from there. That's kind of like how I see it. But we'll have to see how that how this fleshes out in the coming days, weeks. Is there going to be a special prosecutor? I know Senator Jamila Nasheed, she's going to have legislation in the next session that officer-involved shootings have to have a mandatory special prosecutor. I think that's a great idea. But will it go through? That's the thing. You know, you need to call your congressman, write your congressman, go to their website, Google them, find out their email address, send it, let your voice be heard. It's so easy now. You don't have to write a letter and get a stamp and take it to the mail or put it in your mailbox. All you got to do, if you Google naked women, right? You Google Idris Elba, going to be the next James Bond, right? You Google Mimi Foss when she made that sex tape, right? You can Google, even if you don't know who your representative, you can still find out just type in who is my senator. Who is my state senator, and put your address in, or just put who's my state senator and go from there. And then you just get their email address because it's there, and you send them an email saying, hey, I want this to be a law. Let them hear from you because it makes a difference. There's also something else going on that I saw on here locally on the Fox affiliate here about a situation that involves a man who looks like a police officer, but is not licensed as a police officer. And apparently this is in Kinloch. Apparently this man drives a K9 vehicle with lights and sirens, a computer, recording equipment, and he also wears a body camera, but he's not a licensed police officer. And they say that he doesn't need a license. So City of Kinloch says he don't need a license because he's a deputy marshal. And he performs K9 services for the police department. Now, see, that sounds like that's just something bad waiting to happen. That's just, and I don't even know the man. I know I see his name. I'm not going to say his name, but no disrespect to him at all. I mean, he's trying to do a job too, but if you're wearing a badge and you're driving a K9 vehicle that apparently belongs to the city of Kinloch, I can't imagine he has his own K9 vehicle. His body camera, he's got computer with sirens, lights. I thought we couldn't have that unless you were law enforcement or some kind of security. This takes, I don't know, but I mean, I never even heard, who's a deputy marshal for the city of Kinloch? That makes absolutely no sense at all. That's something bad waiting to happen, waiting to happen. That just makes no sense to me at all. Why would something like that be a thing? I don't know. I don't know. That makes. I saw that on TV and I was like, how is it that this guy is not licensed as a police officer, but he has a badge and he has the uniform and he has the vehicle and when it's got all the things that cop cars have? I don't know. Chief Daniel Paulino of Velda City, another North County. There are 91 municipalities in St. Louis County. Velda City Police Chief says that one of his officers talked to the man while working the front lines of Ferguson. The man appeared to be wearing a full police uniform. And he said, Chief Paulino says his officer asked this man, "Hey, what department are you with?" Because he didn't see any patches. And he says he's with the Florissant Police Department. Florissant says, not over here. Hold on here, Geraldo, because he ain't a cop over here. So, is he breaking the law? He's not a licensed police officer. Does he have a right to pull people over? Does he have a right to search people, frisk them? Does he have a right to do that, any of that? I mean, he's doing services for the city of Kinloch, but he's not licensed. That's not illegal? Sony, as we all know, changed their mind about the movie The Interview and decided it's you can watch it on YouTube and Google Play. YouTube has a whole movie rental section if you didn't know. It'll be in theaters tomorrow, like 300 theaters across the U.S., including a handful here in the St. Louis area. And they apparently I guess they've called North Korea's bluff. North Korea apparently hacked Sony's website. We all know about that and some of the emails that were made public and things like that. But they had said that if you release this movie, and the movie is about killing their leader, Kim Jong-un. And I've never known of a movie that was about killing a dictator or a president or a prime minister that was still alive. And although this is a comedy, and I use that in the most general way possible, why would you do something like that? It has been a question I've been having. I mean, we have free speech, but then comes responsibility. I mentioned that on the last podcast. But the movie is out, and a lot of people I follow on Twitter have watched it and it says, North Korea was trying to actually do us a favor because the movie sucks. I saw that. I saw a few posts. Somebody said they fell asleep. It was horrible. It's a horrible movie. They said they were 35 minutes in, and they just couldn't take it anymore. Somebody actually said North Korea was trying to do us a favor, y'all. This movie is horrible. I don't know. I'm not so much a movie guy, but that's that makes. I mean, man, we have lost our collective minds. We have lost our collective mind. Now, North Korea has had some internet outages in their country in the last few days. Intermittent internet use, things like that. And that is interesting because I wondered, was that our retaliation of shutting down their access to the internet? Is that our retaliation? If so, that's kind of a weak response. Is it not? I mean, I don't know if it is or not. I'm just thinking out loud here. Because, the president said that the U.S. would have a proportionate response to what North Korea did. No one really knows what that means. That could mean anything to no Christmas cards for you, to trade embargoes, or if there is a trade embargo, or United Nations sanctions, or I don't know what the deal is. Do we bomb the country over hackers? I don't know. I mean, what is a proportionate response to that, But it's a thing. It's a thing. So, man. So tomorrow is Christmas, and I'm here with the family, and I think this is a special Christmas because I spent over half the year unemployed, which gives you a lot of time to reflect. Now, I'm not even talking about the financial thing. I'm just talking about reflection. I was actually talking to my friend Mark Anthony today. He's a businessman here in St. Louis, has a store in Chesterfield Mall, and he was telling me, he's always so complimentary to me, but he was just telling me that, about 20-something years ago, he got shot and almost lost the use of his arm. And this is a man he's a businessman. He's a jeweler. He makes jewelry. He makes high-end jewelry. He does very good work. And he was telling me that he had to shut down because he had to reflect on his life and where he was and things. And that's kind of like what I've been doing the last 7 months. Before I started working a month ago, but I was unemployed for about 7 months. And you think about stuff like that and what's important. And, if you know anything about me, you know that my family is everything to me. My 3 daughters, my 2 grandsons, my wife, my mom, my sisters, my in-laws, they're everything to me. Niece and nephews. My dad, even though he's been gone for 4 years, I think about him every day, several times a day. And talk to him lots of times during this period of unemployment. But, here we are on Christmas Eve, and I think about how this year has been. And I guess all in all, though it's been a little tough and there's been tears shed and there's been frustration and everything, it could be a lot worse. I could not be of this earth. I could be homeless. My kids could be homeless, but they're not. By the grace of God and by the grace of Radio 1, who gave me some job. So I'm thankful for that. But I will say I've never looked more forward to a year being over than I am this year. 2014 has got to hurry up and get the hell out of here because I'm ready for 2015 because I'm ready to go like gangbusters, man. I am. I'm serious. So I'll leave it right there. I've done enough taking up of your time. You probably still have a few gifts to wrap. You probably want to spend some time with the family. I appreciate you listening. I don't think I said anything bad where your whole family couldn't have listened to this. It's just perspective on the news events that have been going on. So I hope, I will be home all day tomorrow with the family, and my mother-in-law is going to come over, and we're going to have a great time. It's going to be fun. The kids are going to open their presents. The kids are now 19 and 15. I've got them on videotape every year. I've videoed them, recorded them, whatever they call it now. People say I'm always old when I say a new album came out because they don't make albums anymore. A CD's an album. I'm not saying that a new vinyl came out. I'm just saying that somebody's got a new album. D'Angelo's got a new album. But anyway, I digress. Have a wonderful Christmas. Have a great Christmas, man. And I'll talk to you soon.